So what happens when two third-generation Arizona women authors who are passionate about their state start talking about experiences, insights, and memories of different places? They don't stop talking. They write a book, and then they start a podcast. Welcome to Celebrating Arizona with Julie Morrison and Lisa Schnebly Heidinger. Grab your favorite drink and settle in. We're celebrating Arizona, going everywhere from A to Z. And we're off.
Welcome everyone to our part 2 in a special series about All Souls, being the time of year and being in Arizona.
All Souls, Arizona. Yes, welcome.
I think that's one of the things our state is very good at, is finding the positive aspects of what can just be dark and malevolent this time of year.
I don't know that any state would want to claim not to be good at that. I don't see that becoming a license plate motto. We're really great at the dark.
Well, no state I'd want to live in would say that. Fortunately, I get to live here.
But it is a lovely way to look at a place, to feel that there's a lot of positivity there, for sure.
Yeah. A lot of flowers, a lot of celebration, a lot of positive links to the other side.
Maybe so, yeah.
Although actually, now that I've said that, I think, but what I'm going to talk about is not exactly that. But that's okay. I don't have to talk yet, so we'll postpone that.
Well, and most things are not only one thing. Most things are a mix.
Very, very true.
A number of things. And so if you're not going first, that means that I should go first, and that means that I will take us to San Xavier del Bac today.
Oh.
Yeah, I did one whole web search, and
not a half one, but a whole one.
Yeah, to find out just a little history that I didn't know before. But so San Xavier del Bac is an enormous white church. It is often referred to as the White Dove of the Desert. It was a mission church established by Padre Kino in 1692 and completed in 1797, and it is on, and pardon the pronunciation, Tohono O'odham land. And so because Arizona was still part of New Spain when this was built, the website, San Xavier del Bac's website, considers this structure to be Arizona's oldest European structure, which I found to be kind of charming. And so they say that they have 200,000 visitors annually.
That's a lot.
And I haven't been one this year, but I have before. And when I went, I visited the little store that adjoins the church. So in my experience, unless they've changed things and in terms of how they've organized their space, there is a small chapel, and we'll get to that in a minute. And then there is the large church, sort of the cathedral church. And then there is a little mission store off to the side. And one of the things that they sell is candles. And I won't forget this because there was a charming senior lady sitting, I think probably a volunteer, doing the gift shop that day, and saw me looking at candles. And she explained their meanings to me as I kind of looked at the different colors. And she said, "Oh, this is the Virgin of Guadalupe candle, and that's for miracles. And that Holy Spirit candle, well, that's for prayer. And that St. Jude candle is for impossible things." And so you know that I took the impossible things candle for sure. I think that's the one that I lit and left at the chapel. And the other two I took home and have now made it a practice to light candles. I have found that, and part of that is because when I walked into the chapel there with my St. Jude of Impossible Things candle, there were so many candles already lit. And so there's light playing on every surface. And I think it's as close as you get to being inside a stained glass window.
Oh.
And that's the best description I can give you for what that feels like. And I think that feels like being blessed. And so I came to be very fond of lighting candles. And what's lovely to me is that when I say I'm going to light a candle for someone, the response almost universally is this sort of relieved gratitude, like, oh, thank you. And it's interesting because I don't know that I would get that if I offered them, if I offered them a prayer or to put them on a prayer list. But nearly anyone in any state of mind will accept a candle.
That is interesting.
And I really love that.
know that.
Yeah. So San Xavier del Bac is their chapel is what started my practice of lighting candles for me and others. And whether or not that's what it starts for you, it is absolutely worth a visit.
Oh, boy, amen to that. I grew up in Tucson, and we always said Xavier, even
Oh,
though that's not the way you would say it in the language.
Yes. So I suppose this is the Spanglish San Xavier del Bac. I mean, that's a very English pronunciation. I suppose it would be like San Javier del Bac.
Yeah, I
If
think
you're,
that's
yeah,
probably true. And we didn't
yeah,
even say that. It was just the way
yeah.
Tucson said it, or my part, or who knows. There are various stories about why the tower wasn't finished, that once you finished it,
Oh,
you had to pay more taxes. And so if you look at the front, there's the little tower and the not little tower. And, but gorgeous, gorgeous place.
that
Just
reminds
love
me
it.
of a story I heard when I was in Napa, and county passed a law about it was a tax law about the value of improved structures, but they specified above ground improved structures. So it was Rutherford Vineyard invested in enormous underground caves for their warehouses, for which they are not
Really?
taxed. Or were not at the outset. Somebody may have changed the policy now. But
Very
yeah, the
smart.
things we will do to avoid tax for sure. Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. I wonder if Arizona has anything like that. Because, boy, do we have vineyards and cellars, and I mean, we are big in that business at this
Yes.
point.
And I don't know about that, but surely the place that you want to take us is not to either tax policy or the tax rolls. Please say you are
Nope.
not taking us there. And I won't
Taxes are
keep us there.
okay. Okay.
So perhaps we break and then we go somewhere other than those places.
Take a little stroll. All right, this is us taking a little stroll. One of the locations being celebrated on the AZ-250 passport is the Grand Canyon West Skywalk. We tend to think of the South Rim as where we see the canyon, but about 4 hours west on I-40, you can walk out on a clear bridge and see the canyon spread out thousands of feet below you. You can hike scenic trails, dine, shop, even do a zip line. Also, interact with members of the Wallaby tribe who live here.
And so strolling back now to where will you take us today?
To very northern Arizona, very long, long ago. Although actually I was just at Canyon de Chelly, as you know, pretty recently. But this is a story from a long time before I was born, and it has always stayed with me. So you knew Lair, my dad, and he had had an early first marriage and ended up living with her uncle in Barrington, which I didn't know when I heard this story is a very, very exclusive area of Chicago. And
Okay.
she left, and he stayed with the uncle and had a night watchman job just because he didn't know what to do. One of his friends from what was then
Arizona
Arizona
State
State
School,
College,
Arizona State
yeah,
College, yeah.
yeah, is now NAU, at least at the moment. So Dave Kidd came back to Chicago because he lived there during the summers or whatever. And Larry went to have dinner with Dave at his mother's. And his mother was a teacher. And teachers are pretty good at telling people what they should do. So she said, Larry, you go back and finish that degree. You just don't have any excuse to not do that. And because nobody else told Larry anything else to do, he thought, okay, I'll do that. So he rode back with Dave to Flagstaff from after that dinner. They were coming in and decided, hey, let's stop at Canyon de Chelly. We haven't seen that. Hey, let's do that. And it had just shut down. It was closed for the day. But hey, they're college kids. Rules don't apply to them. So they go around the little chain barrier and into what in those days were called ruins. I don't know what they're called now. But, they could do whatever they wanted. And so they are now in not their place, not their time. And as soon as they step under the cave's natural, protection, a storm came up like they had never seen or heard. A massive storm, just crashing, and the rain driving in sideways. And these were not guys that were interested in other worlds or anything else. And they both looked at each other like, okay, this is personal. We are being told to
Get out.
get out of here. And both of them, even though they were college guys that felt pretty impervious, thought, oh, we're getting out of it. And so as soon as they left, it stopped. And they really took the message personal. And they didn't even bother to say, oh, that must have been Old Souls, that must have been Guardian. It was just clear, you exit now. And I think it was interesting for them at that age to go, ooh, we are not in charge. Because at that age, if you're a male, you feel in charge a lot. And they clearly received, you are not in charge here. This is personal.
Yeah.
And I think, well, good for them, because they weren't in charge there. And so they left. And I went when I was 12 or 13 or something. But he still had the chastened attitude of that kid when he told his children about it.
Nice.
And yeah, it kind of was. It was nice when you're able to let somebody else be the boss. To respect a higher power that you can't see, describe, explain. I think that's good. To be able to respect elders and people from other cultures. And most of us probably use a little bit more of that.
Yes. There's plenty to tell us, no, you can't, I suppose, in our culture, or no, you shouldn't. There's probably plenty to tell us, no, you shouldn't. But there's a whole lot that tells us, and you can. You can if you want to. And it's not a bad thing, no, to be humbled into remembering we're guests here.
We are not the boss. Especially if you're a college student and male. I think that tends to be a time and place where it's pretty easy to ignore and throw off authority. And so when it's authority that isn't even your culture that you can respect, I think, well, good for them. At least that day, they were showing some respect. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. Well, and so shall we take another break and then do some readings?
Let's do that. Visit Flagstaff waits for you in the historic train depot at 1 East Route 66, which is perfect because celebrating Route 66's birthday is a major mission here. The depot offers a dazzling assortment of gifts and souvenirs you want to keep. You can learn about local walking tours, great places to eat, and delights all across northern Arizona on Route 66 by stopping in. Staff will even help you ship purchases home so you can travel light. So we return.
We return to read this week, thinking about the times that I light candles are oftentimes when I'm anxious about something for someone else or for me. And I guess the idea is to want to offer some light to that soul.
Ah, that's nice.
let's lighten some things up in some like here's my prayer, here's my hope, is that we can lighten. And so the combination of all that, I wrote a poem called Soul Food.
Oh, nice.
So soul food. When the unknown smacks, anxiety slices, wielding lists, schedules, spreadsheets, until, confused and cold cut, my sanity cracks to shards, snacks for metrics, already convinced I won't measure up. Next, my soul gnaws, gnashes at its own ripeness because, it figures, control is consuming its own spirit rather than have it serve to satiate something else. Funny, just a moment ago, I fed it breath and belief in goodness as continuous buffet, inviting, gracing, nourishing, having at least something for us. And it's this faith now, choosing to be fed or fed on.
Interesting. When I was growing up as a little girl Catholic, if I was with a parent or grandparent and we were lighting candles for people, what they would say to us is that way, even when we leave here, the candle continues to waft the prayer up to heaven with the smoke. But neither one takes away the other. The light and the smoke and the continuing. All of those are true.
They're lovely images.
They are.
They are lovely images. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And where will you be reading from today?
From back at Canyon de Chelly. Sedona and I just got to light candles at the Basilica in D.C.
Oh.
And that was fun. It's always fun to do somewhere new. That was fun. So yes, Arizona, the Centennial book, Arizona 100 Years Grand. This is out of that, about Canyon de Chelly. So it's just a little bit more background about the area. Talk about melding cultures. Canyon de Chelly occupies a unique status. Created as a national monument in 1931, it's still tribal trust land completely owned by the Navajo Nation. Dozens of families live within park boundaries. There's no good analogies, like it's like running a church inside someone's home, or it's like living on Main Street in Disneyland. Don't work. The Navajo Nation is sovereign, meaning the tribe is absolute and independent authority. Blend that with National Park Service culture and rules, you have a complex, delicate, balanced, organic relationship that continues to evolve and confound. Canyon de Chelly itself is an amalgam of ancient ruins and startlingly beautiful land features. The sandstone pinnacle, Spider Rock, is here, shooting 800 feet high, like a fossilized rocket that stayed connected to the earth after taking off. Whiteout Ruins, the only place in the park where tourists can venture without a Navajo guard, seems to hold old secrets of early residents. Mummy's Cave, named for two figures wrapped in yucca fiber, discovered there. Look for all the world, like eyes regarding the world from a rock face. So those are just some of the things we see if we go to that area. And then the mug sort of works and sort of doesn't. And actually, it's from Cliff Dwellers, and it's from ages ago. Tom picked it up on some trip with Channel 3 before I even met him. Cliff Dwellers at Large. You may or may not remember.
Which is nowhere near Canyon de Chelly, but it has
Cliff
to do with
Dwellers of a
being a
different
cliff dweller.
type,
Yeah.
so, yeah. And
Yeah.
do you remember when you and I were going to stay at Cliff Dwellers?
I do, and then suddenly we weren't.
Because they didn't have a reservation.
Yeah,
So we drove
yeah.
back to your place in Flagstaff instead.
Yep, I do. Yeah, that was wild. And I remember the light. The sky stayed light in some way for a long, long time.
Ah,
That
I
night.
didn't remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Larry and I did stay at Cliff Dwellers one time for something. I don't know what. But yeah, it's a good place, good mug.
What more do you want? Good place,
Even if
good
it is a
mug.
different
Very
Cliff
good.
Dwellers. Maybe all Cliff Dwellers are good.
Well, may it be so, and their mugs too. Yes, and and hopefully your mugs are just as good and in good shape wherever you are. And thank you for joining us today.
And whatever you're drinking from is making you happy.
Yes, indeed. So we will talk to you again with the third in the series. But for now, we'll say goodbye.
Amen.
We'd really like to hear from you about anything this show led you to think about. Write to us at celebratingaz.com. The wizard behind making a conversation into a podcast is Tom Heidinger. The music comes from Daniel Blackney. And I'm Dana Cooper.